Okay. Now I'm creating a folder called files. Okay, I'm creating a one text file. So let's see. Okay, so this is the file I have. Okay, so I have a file. So info.txt, I have a file. Now, okay, today we are going to see a topic called reading, writing files using Oracle. Okay, reading and writing files using Oracle. That means, okay, so whenever I'm running a PL SQL program, okay, so whenever I am running a PL SQL program, so here I'm going to run a one PL SQL program. So I have a file called info.txt. Info.txt is my file. So I want to read data from this file and display using PL SQL. Okay, so reading data from a file, that is the one thing. For example, let's see. So I have a data in file, reading data from file and then load into database, load into Oracle tables. That is some kind of requirement. Sometimes we have to write a procedures or functions or packages for reading data from a file. So where is the file available? File available in a particular folder on the server. Okay, so the files available on the folder on the server. So what is the folder I have? This is the folder I have. Okay, this is the folder I have. So I want to read data from this folder. The files available in this folder, reading using a PL SQL program. And the second thing is, see, I have a data, select star from EMP, where department number is equal to 10 or something, where department number is equal to 20. So the select star from EMP, where department number is equal to 20. So I have a 5 records. So I want to create file emp info.txt. So the data from this select statement load into this file. See, so the results of the query, so the results load into this file. Okay, so now abc.txt, I have a file on the folder. I want to delete it. Delete file using PL SQL. So what I'm going to say here is, whenever you want to read files, it can be .txt file or .csv file or .dat file. We cannot read Excel files, and at the same time we cannot read .word files, MS Word files and everything. It's only the text files we can read it. Okay, so using, how can we read write files using Oracle? Okay, so Oracle provided a built-in package using package util underscore file, util file package. Using util underscore file, we can do all file related operations using PL SQL. Using PL file related operations in the sense is, we can read a file, we can write a file, we can delete a file, we can rename a file, we can move a file. So it is the package. So this package contains a set of procedures and functions. So how can I see the procedures available in this package? We can see the just describe the package name. If I execute the describe package name, so we will see a these procedures and functions available in the file. Okay, so procedures and functions. So put line, okay, put f, new line, get line, okay, fseek, remove, open, okay, copy, and all these files are there. UTL underscore file package, we can do the all file related operations. What is the meaning of file relation operations? In the sense is reading data from a file, writing to file, deleting file, copying a file, and everything can be done using UTL underscore file package. Okay, so now before directly reading and writing a files, using UTL underscore file from Oracle. Okay, so Oracle need read write access or Oracle. So Oracle user or the user through which you are going to Oracle user need read write access on the directory. Directory in the sense is folder. Directory, that is a folder from where we are reading and writing files. So for example, so this is the directory we are going to use. So this is the directory we are going to use. C drive, GVS underscore practice, Oracle and file. So this is the folder structure. So the Oracle need to have a access on this directory object. So okay, so now in order to give a read write access, okay, for accessing a files for a particular folder, so we need to create a directory object in Oracle. The directory object in Oracle. So we need to create the directory object in Oracle. So we have to create a directory object. Okay, after creating directory object, second step. The first step is we need to create a directory object. Second, after creating directory object, okay, so we need to grant read write access on the directory object to database user. So the database user. So the whoever. So that for example Scott need an access. So Scott need an access on the read write access on the directory object. So for accessing a file. Okay, now let's see how to create a directory object. So create or replace directory name. Directory dir name. Create or replace directory name as location. It's a folder location, for example. So create or replace directory. So Oracle underscore files as this is the file. So generally these commands will be executed by DBA. So I am executing from C. See the directory Oracle underscore files created. So now this directory object, okay, this directory object pointing to this directory. So now using this directory object name, we can access the files available in this folder. Okay, so now the directory created. Now grant read, write, read write on directory dir name, the name of the directory object, to username. Syntax for granting a database user. So now I'm granting grant read comma write on Oracle files. Second step, Oracle files to Scott. So now I'm giving a directory access, read write access on the directory object to user Scott. Sorry. On directory object to Oracle. That's it. So the grant succeed. Now once a grant is succeed, so now we need to first creating a directory object. So then granting a permission. So once you have a read write access, we can see the directory. Select star from all underscore directories. This is the built-in table. All underscore directory is a predefined table. See, only one directory. That means Scott user can use this directory name for accessing a files available in this location. Okay, so everybody is clear. So this is called as a only one time setup. Wherever you want to read write files from a particular directory, we need to create that directory object. Okay, now so directory object is created. Now after creating these three steps, so now using after creating about two steps, so we can access files available in, so we can access the files available in this location using directory object Oracle underscore files. So using this Oracle underscore files, we can access the files available in the directory. So after creating above steps, okay, we can access files available in this directory using directory object Oracle underscore files. Okay, so what are the main steps involved in the file processing? Steps for file processing in Oracle. So what are the main steps involved in the file processing in Oracle? Okay, the first thing is declare a file type variable. File type variable. We need to declare a file type variable in declare section. We have to do in a declare section. First thing is we need to declare a variable of type file type. And the second thing is open required file. Okay, required file in required mode. So we need to open a file where it's in the begin section. Before reading or writing a file, we need to open the file. Okay, in the required mode, what is the mode? Mode means what is the purpose of opening a file? Is it for the read access, or it is for the write permission, or it is for the append mode? So why you are opening a file? So the R indicates the further reading. So I want to read the data from a file. I need to use a R. R indicates read access. I want to write the data into file. So I want to use a write mode. Now I want to append. Append means adding at the end of existing data. I already have some records. I want to add more records to the file. So declare a file type variable and then open the required file in the required mode and the second steps. Okay, so now after opening a file, so we can read data from a file line by line or we can write into file in a loop file. So we can read or write or we can do whatever operation, or we can do any other operation like a delete, rename, everything operation. For example, that is we can move file to different location, we can rename, we can delete, and we can copy. We can do all the operations whatever you want. So we can read data from a file line by line, or we can write into file. Finally, so after completing all the files, close file type variable. Close file. So finally, similar to cursor. Declare a cursor and open a cursor, process the data, and finally close the cursor. That is the steps we will do in a cursor. So we'll do the same steps for the file also. Declare a file type variable, open a required file in the required mode, and after opening a file, we can read from a file line by line, or we can close the file. So these are the basic 4 operations we have to do. Okay, now let's see the small program. So I want to read the data from this file info.txt. Read it. Everybody is clear? Please let me know. Anybody have any doubts? Anybody, please? Anybody have any doubts? Remaining people. Okay. Now declare a file type variable. So how to declare a file type variable? So the variable name utl underscore file dot file underscore type. A is a file type variable. A is a file type variable. So that is the file type variable. Okay. So now I'm opening a file. So utl underscore file. So utl underscore file is a package. Okay, see here, this is a file type is a variable of this package. That's why I directly declared a variable. So now utl underscore file is a package. It is a package. It contains set of procedures and functions. I am going to use those procedures and functions for my requirement. Okay, so I'm opening a file. Open. I'm opening a file, and then the syntax is the directory name oracle underscore files. This is the directory name. So we created this directory using create or replace directory object. So this is the dir name. So we have to give this dir name. The directory name and the name of the file we are opening info.txt and the mode in which you are opening. So that means this file I'm opening in the read mode and assigning a pointer to this file type variable. Okay, utl underscore file dot fopen is a procedure or it is a function? What is it? Is it a procedure or it is a function? Utl underscore file dot fopen is a function or a procedure? Yes. Why? Because it is returning some value. So if I call anything with is equal to expression, so then it is called as a function. See here, the simple thing is I'm opening a file. So what is the name of the file we are opening? We are opening a file called info.txt is the file we are opening. Yes, we are opening a info.txt file. Okay, this file is available in which directory? This file is available in the directory oracle underscore files. Oracle underscore files is the directory where we have a file, and info.txt is the name of the file we are opening. In which mode we are opening? We are opening in a mode read mode. What is the purpose of the read mode? It's further reading. Everybody is clear? Yes or no? Clear everybody? Okay, so now I want to check it whether this file is properly opened or not. So utl underscore file dot is underscore open. Is underscore open, it returns true or false to check it whether a file is open or not. So if is open of A, so now then enter. See, so once you open a file and give a pointer to this variable, from now onwards we have to use this variable only. From now onwards we have to use this variable only. Once you open a file and assign a pointer to this variable, okay, we have to refer only this variable only. That's why I'm checking this A. What is the meaning of A? A is indirectly pointing to info.txt in this directory. Okay, so now I'm checking the file. Yes. Proper. Else. Not opened properly. So, and finally, if it is file opened properly, then close file, utl underscore file dot f, close of A. Okay, so now let's see. See, anonymous file opened properly. That means I can read the data from this file. I can read the data from this file. Okay, so now let's go through the program again. So here is a file type variable. Here I am opening a file info.txt in a read mode from directory oracle underscore files. What is this oracle underscore files? Oracle underscore files is the directory name and which is associated to a particular location. Yes, perfect. Okay, once I open a file and assign a pointer reference to a variable. So now I got A. A is a reference variable. Now I can use this in your program if utl underscore file that is open. I'm checking whether the file properly opened or not. So I'm finally closing the file. So now let's see. Everybody is a clear, please? Yes or no, please? Yes. So now instead of reading here, I'm going to read the data from your file. So I'll read line by line. Is open, so then read line. So the read line we will use get line. So utl underscore file dot get line. I'm reading a get line method. So the get line of, so I'm reading a get line from A, and the first line I'm writing to line. Okay, so I'm reading one line from procedure. I'm reading one line from the procedure, sorry, one line from a file called A. What is A? A reads a info.txt. So now I'm printing that line and finally close. Let's see what is my output. So the output is welcome. Welcome, because I have welcome in the file. Because first line is welcome. Okay, so now I want to read every line. What I have to do? See the first line. So what is this get line is doing here? Get line, it reads one line from A and put it into line variable. Okay, it reads line from A, whatever line it is there, info.txt. Info.txt is read one line from A and put it into the line variable. Okay, everybody? Yes or no, please? So the simple is to reading data from this file and then loading into this line. Everybody is clear? Yes or no, please? Yes. So now I want to read every line from a file. How can I do it? I want to read every line from the file A. So how can I do it? Loop. What loop I have to use? For loop or while loop or simple loop? For loop. Do you know for loop we need to know the number of lines, right? You don't know how many number of lines in the file. Do you know the number of lines in the file? No. Then for loop is not possible. Then Yes. Okay, while loop. What is the condition you will use for the while loop? Anila, what is the condition you will use for the while loop? But without reading, how do you know the end of file? See, the while loop syntax is while condition, right? Here while condition, but you don't know the condition before entering into the loop. So we cannot use while loop also, because for while loop syntax is we need to use a condition, and this condition satisfied, enter into the loop. So you don't know this condition. Now, Harita, how do you use a for loop? A dot first to A dot last, because A is not a collection, right? It's a variable. A is not a collection. Then the only option we have is unconditionally we have to root. The only thing is loop, and then an end loop. So now, what is the problem in using the loop and end loop? What is the problem in handling loop and end loop? Infinite loop. So that's why we have to use a exit when line is null. Let's see. It won't work, but let's see. Compulsory, we have to find an exit condition. See, welcome back to Oracle. I got everything. So welcome back to Oracle. But still, at the end of the file, I got a no data found exception. End of the file, I got a no data found an exception. Because, okay, why this no data found exception? Okay, so now here, this is a procedure or is it a function? Is it a procedure or it is a function? How it is a function? Is it a procedure or it is a function? It's a procedure. We are not calling in an expression. Okay, so now, and thing is, for a files, I cannot use exit when line is null, because so inside the function we are getting an exception. Inside the get line function we are getting an exception or no data found. Inside a function we are getting an exception. That's why, so we have to do like this. That is the only option. Begin. I'm using a loop inside a loop. When no data found. So then exit. I'm exiting this inner loop. That is the only option we have to do. So we cannot handle, okay, end of the file exception without using this inner loop. I have to use a begin inside these two lines. This line should be in a begin exception with no data found. Whenever there is a no data found, exit. What the exit will do? Exit will exit this loop and it will come out of the finally close this one. Let's see. Now the program executed successfully without any error. Whenever there is an end of file exception, end of file is nothing but a no data found. That's why I'm handling the no data found here. So now I'm exiting the loop. Okay, everybody. Anybody have any doubts? Please let me know in this program. Shravani, Shweta, any doubts, please? Rajkumar, Mahesh, any doubts, please? Okay, so the simple thing is to open a file and check whether a file is open or not, and we need to use the get line. So the get line is a procedure. Reads a line by line from this A and assigned to this variable. So each line will be assigned to, I'm printing this line. Okay, so now I have a table called what is there is an empty line. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is the line, empty line, right? Let's see. You will get an empty line. That's what you see. This is the empty line, right? See. Okay. Now let's see. This is my file. I have empty lines in the file. I'm reading the file. Empty line will be displayed. See, this is the empty line. And this is empty line. Empty line will be displayed. So whatever the line it is there. So you need to check it. Okay, before processing, once you got a line from a file, so here instead of displaying, here you can check it whether that line is a null or whether it is a empty or it is a something data is there. Okay, then we can check it. Everybody is clear? Ashok, your doubt is clear? Clear everybody? Anybody have any doubts, please? Okay, so now I have a table called students. I have a table called student. Okay, let's see. No student. Okay, I have a table called department number. I have a table called department number and I have a file. That's the assignment I'm giving. I want everybody to please try it. Okay, department number and the D name and the location. Okay, I'm giving 10, 10 and 10. I'm giving so 11, 11 and 11. That is the data. And I'm giving 34, 34, comma 34. Okay, this is the file I have. So now I want to read a program. dept.txt. So now I want to read a program, write a program to read data from this file and then insert the data into department table. So now I want to read a program. I want to write a program to read the data from this file. Okay, I want to read dept.txt. dept.txt. This is the data in my dept.txt. Read line by line. Okay, if department number is available in the department table, then update department name and location. Okay, so now here I have a 10, 10. So after successful completion of your program, this accounting and New York should update to 10, 10. Okay, so now here I have 11, 11, 11. So do we have 11 record in my table? No. In that case, it should insert into table. If there is no record, it should insert. If the record is already there, then it should be update. So now here, instead of writing a line to display, I want to do insert or update operation. Everybody is clear? Instead of displaying, I need to write the data. Everybody is clear? Yes or no, please? Is everybody clear with the assignment? So the simple program. Okay, so the thing, everything you have to do the same thing. The only thing you need to do change is, yeah, you can use whatever you want. Now instead of display, here we need to use insert or update or delete also. Insert or update, that you need to do. Okay, so now I want to, now let's say select emp number comma ename comma salary plus NVL of commission comma 0 from GL, sorry, from emp. This is the data I have. So I want to write a file from this one. Whatever data I have in this one, so I want to read these 11 records into file emp.txt. You want to write into. Okay, if you want to read file, we need to open the file in the read mode. If you want to read a file, we need to open in the read mode. If you want to write, we need to write in the write mode. Begin now let's see, declare a cursor. Cursor C is select from EMP. So cursor is declared. So now I want to create a line where care2 of some 100. Okay, so now I need to declare a file type variable. So declaring a file type variable. Now I want to open a file in the read mode, write mode. utl underscore file dot f open oracle underscore files comma emp dot txt in the write mode. So the write mode means we are opening a file for writing. Okay, so if you already open a if you open a file in the write mode, so that means you are creating a file. Okay, if you open existing file in the write mode, existing file will be deleted and recreated with the same name. Okay, if you open a file in the write mode, existing file in the write mode, it deletes existing file and creates a new file. It deletes existing file and creates a new file. This is simple. Now, so I open a file. Now open a cursor. For I in C, cursor open, loop and end loop. Loop and end loop. Okay, so now here, so now the line is equal to, I want to construct a line. Line is equal to I dot, what is I dot employee number record. So concatenating with the comma separated. Okay, see, I want to create a record like this, employee number, comma e-name, comma total salary. I want an output like this. Okay, so E is employee number. So I'm concatenating comma and I'm putting I dot e-name and comma I dot total sal. Total sal. So this total sal is a alias name. This total salary is a alias name we are giving here. Now utl underscore file. Okay, put underscore line. I'm writing a put line. A dot line. Whatever I have in the line, that writing into A. Look at the end of the file. Finally close the file. Finally closing. So the simple, I'm opening a cursor, I'm writing. Completed. If you see here, emp.text is created with the data. 7369 Smith. Okay, now I want to add a header also. I want to add a header. Just I'm writing the line first. Okay, see, I'm adding a header. So here I'm opening a file. emp.txt is already there with the data. Okay, I'm opening again in the write mode. So what it will do, it deletes the file. It deletes emp.txt and recreate a file with the same name. That's it. If you see here, this one. So the employee number, e-name and total. This is the new line we created. The simple thing. So the only thing is here we are getting the data. Okay, everybody. Anybody have any doubts, please? Reading and writing a file. See here. The one thing you need to remember is here we are just displaying, but here in the real time you can write based on your requirement. You don't need to do any other operations. You can do whatever you want. Right now in the assignment you are loading the data into table. You are loading the data. So how are you doing? So first reading a line and then check whether the department number is available in the table or not. So if it is there, insert it, else If it is there, update, else insert operation. Okay, everybody. Similarly, this is the write operation. Okay, similarly, other operations are there. F copy, F rename, F delete. We can use. F remove is for removing file from directory. F copy, copying file from one location to another location. One location to another location. And utl underscore file dot f rename is for renaming a file to different name. Different name. We can rename a file with a different name. F remove is for removing a file from directory. Copy is for copying a file from one location to another location, and rename is for renaming a file. Okay, everybody. Everybody is clear? This is all about reading and writing a files. But here you are using a package called utl underscore file package for reading, writing a file. Everybody is clear? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, please? Others. Yes. Okay. So now, I'm going to, we have another 15 minutes. Anybody have any doubts before starting the another topic, please? Okay. Now, so we're going to start a dynamic SQL. Dynamic SQL. What is the dynamic SQL? Okay. So why we are using ref cursor? Anybody? What is the use of ref cursor? Why we have used the reference cursor? Why? Why we used the reference cursor? Dynamic select statement. So to change the select statement in a cursor. Yes. So dynamic select. Dynamic select. And changing a select statement at runtime. Or changing select statement at cursor. Changing select statement, dynamic select statement, and changing select at runtime, and changing select at cursor. See the dynamic SQL. So what is the meaning of this one? The first thing is, okay, so now while writing a program, so I want to write a program. Let's say write a procedure for getting number of rows from any table. Write a select statement, write a procedure or a function, okay, for getting number of rows from any table. So that means get table count. For example, get rows per table. That's my procedure name. Okay, I'm passing emp. So it should give 14. Okay, so now other persons are executing 4 table. So the same table, they're executing with DEPT. So now the output is 4. See here. So now, what is the statement it is going to execute inside? It is going to execute select count of star from EMP. Okay, now the select count of star from DAPT. So we need to generate this statement and execute. So need to generate statement, need to generate SQL statement and execute dynamically. Execute at runtime. That is nothing but a dynamically. So the dynamic SQL is a method for generating and executing SQL statement at runtime. So the dynamic SQL is a method for generating and executing SQL statements at runtime. So when we will use the SQL dynamic SQL, so the dynamic SQL is useful when you are not sure about the SQL statement it is going to execute. So the dynamic SQL is useful when it is useful when the SQL statement, it can be insert or update or delete or select. When a SQL statement is not sure while writing a program. You don't know the select statement. Okay, you don't know the select statement because the select statement we are going to generate dynamically. So the dynamic SQL is useful when a SQL statement is not sure while writing a program. So we have to use the concept of dynamic SQL plus. Okay, this is the useful when is the one condition. The second one is whenever we need to execute DDL commands from PL SQL. In the first PL SQL class, I told everybody. So when we can use the DDL, so the DDL cannot be used in PL SQL directly. Okay, DDL cannot be used in the PL SQL directly. DDL can be used with the help of dynamic SQL. Okay, the DDL cannot be used in the PL SQL directly. We need to use with the help of dynamic SQL DDL command. So the dynamic SQL is useful when the first condition is when a select statement is not sure and whenever we need to execute a DDL command. DDL command in the sense is create table, alter table, drop table or anything. We need to use a DDL command. Everybody is clear? The uses of the SQL, dynamic SQL. PL SQL supports two types of dynamic SQL methodologies. PL SQL supports two types of dynamic SQL methodologies. So one is execute immediate command. And the second one is using DBMS underscore SQL package. So using execute immediate command, this is also called as a NDS, that is also called as a native dynamic SQL. This is latest method. Latest in the sense is out of these two, execute immediate is the latest. Okay, right? So whenever I want to write a code which needs to be executed dynamically, then we have to use a dynamic SQL. Dynamic SQL is a method. It supports two types: execute immediate command and the dynamic SQL, DBMS underscore SQL package. It's a native dynamic SQL because it is, see, the DBMS underscore SQL is a package. Okay, so it's a package. Package contains procedures and functions. So from our program, we have to call a procedure of DBMS underscore SQL. Within that procedure, we are going to execute our statement. See here. Now let's see. This is the the native dynamic SQL, and this is a package. So this is your calling program. This is your calling PL SQL. This is the PL SQL program. PL SQL program and execute immediate. Okay, so it directly execute immediate, directly executes on the database. Executes on database. That's why it is the faster. It's directly executes on the database. Okay, it's directly executes on the database. And the second one is it is easy to write. How to see? We'll see. Easy to write because it is a command. It's similar to insert or command or update command. Execute immediate command. That's it. Directly executes a command. It's easy to write because and easy to maintain. Okay. So now it directly executes on the database and it is a faster. Why it is a faster? It directly executes on the database. It directly executes on the database. Okay, let's see. DBMS underscore SQL package. DBMS underscore SQL package. So this is your calling program. This is your calling PL SQL program. Calling program calling DBMS underscore SQL package. From here we are executing on database. Okay, from PL SQL program we are calling this package. Within the we are calling the package procedure or function. Procedure or function. So we are executing from the procedure or function. We are executing on the database. So from here, from calling PL SQL, we are executing DBMS underscore SQL package. From there, we are executing on the database. So, but here we are directly executing on the database. This is a package. Okay. So now we need to have a one more intermediate step here. We need to have a one intermediate step here. Okay, that's why it's easy. So here it's not easy to write. It's not easy to write as compared to NDS, because NDS is a command, very simple to write. Okay, so now it's not easy to write a compare because we need to follow some series of steps here. Using the dynamic SQL, we need to follow some series of steps. It's not easy to write a program. We need to call this one. So it supports two types of the dynamic SQL. One is execute immediate and the second one is a dynamic SQL. Okay, so the step, very simple step. Okay, so now first thing is to steps for dynamic SQL. Dynamic SQL. First thing is to generate the select statement. We need to generate SQL statement for execution dynamically. So we need to generate the select statement. Whatever statement we are going to execute, we need to generate it. So the SQL statement we generated similar to a reference cursor. We generated the SQL before opening a cursor in the reference cursor. Before opening a cursor, open for SQL statement. Yes, before opening, we generated the SQL statement. Generate the SQL statement dynamically. So now once generated, execute using either NDS or DBMS underscore SQL package. We can use using either NDS or DBMS underscore SQL. Generate the SQL statement dynamically. Yes, we can generate it and finally we can execute it using either NDS or DBMS underscore SQL package. Everybody is clear? These are the two simple steps. We can generate the SQL statement dynamically or we can execute using either NDS or DBMS underscore SQL package. Okay, so now what is the syntax? Execute immediate. Okay, we will see the syntax and examples in the next class. Okay, we'll see syntax and examples in the next class. Okay, everybody, we will see syntax and examples the next class. Plus, I want everybody to practice the packages. I'm not sure but how many people are practicing or not. Okay, that's a good is if you